Controversies continue to trail the $1 billion funds to be released by the federal government of Nigeria from the excess crude account. In the studio today we have Barrister Inibehe Effiong. It's a pleasure having you on Sahara Studio, sir.
Thank you for having me. Good to be here again.
Let me ask this first question because it's really bothering a lot of Nigerians. Was due process followed as far as the appropriation is concerned, even before the funds are to be withdrawn?
I will start by saying that the National Economic Council, which comprises of governors with the vice president as the chairman and some other top government functionaries, is a creation of the Constitution by virtue of Part 1 of the 3rd Schedule to the Constitution. It is one of the federal bodies listed under the Constitution with advisory powers. The mandate of that council is basically to advise the government on primary and serious economic policies of the government.
Economic policies.
Economic policies. That point is important. It is an advisory body. It is an advisory body. It only advises. That is what the council does. And also serves as a platform for consultation. The president may have need to consult with them. And because the membership comprises of governors and the president, who obviously is represented by the vice president and the chairman. So the body advises government on economic policies. They don't really have a mandate on issues pertaining to security. That is one. Two, the council came to say that they have given approval, which is another aberration, a constitutional aberration, because they have no power to approve anything pertaining to appropriation, that they have given approval for the withdrawal of $1 billion from the excess crude account. Again, another constitutional aberration, because the excess crude account itself is an illegality. It is not a creation of law. It is not a creation of the Constitution. And if you examine what the Constitution says on matters pertaining to appropriation, matters pertaining to disbursement of funds, specifically if you look at the provisions of Section 80 of the Constitution, which creates Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation, the Consolidated Revenue Account, and specifically says that all monies standing to the credit of the government must go into the Consolidated Revenue Fund. These monies must go in there first. And by virtue of Section 81 and the combined effect of Section 80 and Section 81 of the Constitution, no money, not even one kobo, can be withdrawn from the Consolidated Revenue Fund without the authorization of the National Assembly by way of appropriation under Section 81. That point is important. Two, you also have the Federation account created by Section 162 of the Constitution, which of course has and custodies monies standing to the credit of the federal government, the government at the center, the states, the local government, distributable pool account, and of course the various organs of government. It specifically states how monies should be distributed. Therefore, it is unconstitutional, clearly, an overt act of illegality on the part of the National Economic Council to ultravise its constitutional responsibility, that is to exceed its constitutional responsibilities, to now purport to say that they have approved the withdrawal and expenditure of monies from an account that is known to law. Because the monies in the excess crude account ought to go to the Consolidated Revenue Fund. There is no account known to law as excess crude account. It's an illegality started by the Obasanjo regime. Good. Which should have been abrogated.
Exactly, because there was that this is not the first time. I mean, during the National Integrated Power Project, Masari actually came out to talk about that when he said that this is not the first time. I mean, the chairs of government or the Governors Forum was going to, I mean, share funds based on that. It happened on that. Even the Umaru Musa was the government. I mean, what do you have to say to that?
No, that is not in doubt. But what does that mean? It's an affirmation of the culture of impunity, a precedent of illegality. Because if you have been doing something contrary to law, you cannot cite that as a basis to justify your continuing illegality. The excess crude account is not known to law. Any amount purporting to be withdrawn from that account is an unconstitutionality. It is even an impeachable offense for the president to purport to authorize the expenditure other than in the manner prescribed by Section 80, Section 81, and Section 162 of the Constitution. But furthermore, there is even the question on what this funds is meant for.
Yeah.
The government said they want to fight Boko Haram. And we legitimately asked the question, which of the Boko Haram? Because the last time we checked, Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information, had said Boko Haram had been technically defeated. That is one too. You're also aware that in December 2016, the Operation Lafia Dole had a meeting where they gathered where the Nigerian army invited the commander-in-chief. President Buhari went there. He was handed over the Quran, the personal Quran of Abubakar Shekau, and the flag of Boko Haram in a symbolic representation of the defeat of Boko Haram, where they declared that this is the end of the dreaded sect. The question is, which Boko Haram does the Nigerian government seek to use $1 billion to fight? We are aware there have been some skirmishes of attacks, but does that justify this huge amount of money that they seek to spend? You are even aware that this money, part of it, will go to the states. Because even the vice president came out, to say,
exactly the vice president's argument in support of the funds withdrawal was that the national security stakeholders expressed grave concerns over the appalling state of equipment of the military, particularly. And he also said that they had to overhaul the entire security architecture of the country, looking at the issues like the kidnapping cases, small arms trafficking, cattle rusting, as well as clashes between herdsmen and the farmers. I mean, are these arguments tenable? No, it's not tenable, whether in fact or in law. These arguments are totally untenable. It is even nebulous. In the first place, what is the vice president saying? Nobody is arguing that we have security challenges. Exactly. We have seen the crisis by the herdsmen, which of course even the president does not have the political will to tackle. The president has clearly demonstrated that he's not willing to tackle the menace of the so-called Fulani herdsmen, for reasons that we are yet to understand. Also, when you say you want to use this money to overhaul the entire security architecture, you have to break that down. Let Nigerians understand what you are saying. If you want to acquire equipment, if you want to deploy this fund for intelligence gathering, you must go through the instrumentality of lawmaking. You must go through the National Assembly. We must have a budget that will enable us to see that this is what Fund A is to be used for. This is what this amount is to be appropriated for. And why are you giving these monies to the states? Because governors have no control over the security architecture. Governors do not control the army. They don't even control the police. So you now have what is called an extension of security votes, which is basically a pocket money to Nigerian governors. They use it with impunity. They use it at will. Nobody supervises them. Nobody has control over them. So you now see that even governors are supporting it because this is an opportunity for them to reloot the resources of the nation. There is no other explanation for it. Governments have clearly no responsibility to fight Boko Haram. You have states that you don't have Boko Haram crisis, and all of them will benefit from the money. So which security are they fighting with the money? We need to be sure, we need to have the facts. But whatever the argument is, we are saying that you have to go through the process prescribed by law.
We all come from different backgrounds. That's what unites us. We all know life is about freedom of choice. And money transfer should be the same way. Introducing MoneyGram My Way. Send and receive money just about anywhere, using whatever method that works best for you.
So, based on this last statement you just made, what are the legal requirements for approving extra budgetary allocations, especially like these funds, this $1 billion fund? For example, the federal government says they don't need the approval of the National Assembly. Is that right?
No, they can't say. It will be impeachable. If President Buhari said he does not need the approval of the National Assembly for this money to be spent, it is an impeachable offense, because it amounts to a grave violation of the Constitution. But we have even made the point that you do not have any account known as excess crude accounts under our jurisprudence, under the Constitution, or under any act of the National Assembly. So that account does not exist. And this is a government that came to fight corruption. So this might just be the beginning of the Buhari gate. Because everybody is talking about the Asuki gate. When money meant to fight Boko Haram was shared to politicians with impunity, this is even worse because Jonathan even went through the National Assembly. But in the case of Buhari, nobody knows how these monies will be spent. Nobody knows what these monies will be specifically used for. You can't just say you want to fight security. That is totally nebulous. You need to be specific. But whatever argument the government has, we are insisting that the government must go through the process of lawmaking. Whatever ambition the government has to tackle the various security challenges, you must go through the constitutional process. The president must send a supplementary budget to the National Assembly. If it deems that the security challenges in quotes are of grave urgency, let there be a supplementary budget to the National Assembly. Let the National Assembly debate on it. Let the National Assembly appropriate funds for it. Until these funds are appropriated by the National Assembly, the president cannot, I insist, cannot authorize 1 kobo to be expended outside appropriation. And the National Economic Council does not even have the power to purport to give any approval for the expenditure of any money that belongs to the Nigerian state. They don't have that power. And this impunity has to stop.
Barrister, let's take some of the grave concerns and reactions of Nigerians, I mean, as far as this issue is concerned. Listen to what one comment we had that, I mean, $1 billion from ECA for security challenges when we can build a refinery. This is broad day robbery. What's your take on that?
I can't agree less. It's a case of misplacement of priority. Security, of course, Section 14B, 2B of the Constitution says, security and welfare shall be the primary purpose of government, security and welfare of the people. Security is sacrosanct, security is paramount. The question is, what is this security crisis? What is this security challenges? What are they? It cannot be Boko Haram. Because the Minister of Information, the chief spokesperson of this government, Lai Mohammed, said Boko Haram has been technically defeated. So you want to use $1 billion to fight a technically defeated Boko Haram? That is not possible. So there is no crisis to warrant this expenditure. That is why when people are making insinuation that this could be a leeway to set money for the 2019 election, you may have to listen to them because it raises serious suspicion. It raises fundamental questions on even the integrity of this government. You cannot. You can't do it.
Another comment is, customs generated 1 trillion, but we are withdrawing 360 billion from ECA and borrowing billions of dollars to run government. Are we stupid? 292 billion was budgeted for the Defense Ministry in 2016, 465 billion in 2017, yet they want to withdraw another 1 billion from ECA to fight insurgency. What is wrong with us?
We have a leadership crisis. Of course, what this also shows is that the much touted change. Like I said in an earlier interview, the more Nigerians yearn for this change, the more elusive it becomes. If you have had a sustained culture of lawlessness, where successive regimes have withdrawn money belonging to the Nigerian state in the name of excess crude account, one would have expected a regime of change to do things differently. This is money that can build hospitals, where, for example, Yusuf, the president's son, could have been treated. They wouldn't have been need to fly him to Germany. Even the president wouldn't have had cause to go to London. But because our leaders don't know their priorities, they keep throwing money on irrelevant things that are totally irrelevant. Why can't you build state-of-the-art hospital for the Nigerian people? Why can't you construct road? $1 billion can touch third mainland if the second Niger bridge. Put $1 billion there if you don't know what to do with money. Go and build local refinery. Look at the fuel crisis in the country. Nigerians are suffering. And you are now giving $1 billion as a Christmas gift or a New Year gift to the federal government and governors. Governors who are totally unaccountable. Governors who are stealing allocations of local governments in their various states. Governors that cannot even publish budgets. Like the one of my state, Akwa Ibom. You can't even see a copy of the budget. The last one they published, when we started raising issues, they went to the site and removed it. Even in Lagos State, they can't make budget public. It's a national embarrassment. Those are the people you are giving $1 billion to. They can't even show accountability. And we keep extracting money in their hands. These monies do not even have any process of check and balances because nobody knows what type of ammunition you want to acquire.
It's quite evident that Nigerians continue to be denied information to evaluate and influence government policies and strategies and funding, including the amount of public funds that have been expended and invested in combating, security challenges. How can Nigerians make the government more accountable? I mean, demand for accountability.
Of course, it is for us to continue to engage. It's for us to continue to invoke, for example, the provisions of the Freedom of Information Act 2011, to continue to insist that there must be process of the open governance initiative. We must have a process of accountability. But the tragedy is that governments, the Nigerian government, generally, is not ready to open its records. They are not ready. They are totally unprepared. How do you run a country where the three organs of government, the three tiers of government also, inclusive, are based on a culture of secrecy? No Nigerian has seen a copy of the budget of the National Assembly. No Nigerian has seen it. Even members of the National Assembly do not see it. It is only the leadership. That is not how to run a country in the 21st century. You also have even issues even in the judiciary. I'm not even talking about the executive. Look at the various states. 2 courts judgments have been given in Lagos State. Now the Lagos State government is bound by the provision of the Freedom of Information Act. But you have Governor Ambode going to the Court of Appeal with taxpayers' money to challenge the constitutionality of the Freedom of Information Act. This is an embarrassment. So you see that the attitude of governments in Nigeria, whether at the local government, the states, or at the center, they are totally opposed to accountability. That is why we have to continue to invoke the provisions of the FOI to challenge and demand disclosure. Because if we don't have disclosure, you can't get anything out of it. Look at what has happened. The Dasuki Gate should have sounded a warning to this administration to be careful. Because Buhari is in power today, he's going to leave. Another person will come in. So while we are talking about Dasuki Gates, we could have a Buhari Gates tomorrow. Because you cannot throw out $1 billion without explanation, without accountability, without a budget. Nigerians are entitled to know what these monies are specifically meant for. You cannot just deceive us that you want to fight security. What security? What do you want to do? Go to the National Assembly. Let the budget be subjected to public scrutiny. Let there be public hearing. Let Nigerians be invited to make their input. It affects all of us. So what you are clearly seeing is that day by day, government by government, regime by regime, there is clear indication, there is clear policy of secrecy. They are not transparent. Nobody knows what is going on. The Senate President's hierarchy cannot tell us how he's running the National Assembly. Dogara cannot even say it. Nigerians don't even know how judicial budget is run. So this is the climate that we are operating. This is the climate we are talking about. So that when we are talking about $1 billion, we must not discuss it in isolation. You must say that the general leadership crisis in the country is a general leadership crisis. Because the Buhari regime has failed as far as this issue is concerned. If Obasanjo did it, Yar'Adua did it, Jonathan did it, you promised change. You shouldn't do it. You shouldn't do it. Because this money will be stolen. If governors, politicians, and even the president can be diverting funds that are appropriated, how much more funds that are not appropriated, that are not subject of appropriation? So this is a license to steal. Buhari is giving governors license to steal. That is what he's doing.
Barrister, thank you very much for your insightful comments on this.
My pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
We all come from different backgrounds. That's what unites us. We all know life is about freedom of choice, and money transfer should be the same way. Introducing MoneyGram My Way. Send and receive money just about anywhere, using whatever method that works best for you.